Welcome. Sarah and I are so glad you decided to join us for our first 6-minute stretch under the Quarantone Challenge. And as we get started today, I just want to see if you agree or disagree with this comment that constant high levels of stress without downtime drains us of our energy, leads to exhaustion, burnout, and negatively impacts your bounce back factor. My guess is if I could see all of you, you'd say you agree. And so what we really need to focus on are our bounce back factors, which deal with the energy surrounding physical, mental, emotional, social, and the spiritual side of things. So Sarah, can you share with the group what we've been hearing about what has been getting in the way?
Absolutely. One of the things that's really important is we go back to being able to catch it, because this is such a true thing. So being able to catch it includes our self-awareness and knowing how it's manifesting in our lives right now. What's interesting is some very common ways that stress manifests itself, not a surprise to anyone. Sleep always becomes an issue, top of the list. Also, we find that there are issues focusing. That becomes a challenge for most of us. And then even the concepts of impulsivity changing. We have these behavioral patterns, like the way we eat can change during times of stress. There are also some uncommon ways that happen to be manifestations of stress. I have to admit that the one at the top of this list happens to be a truth for me. So literally last week, I ended up putting coffee in my coffee pot before I was brewing what I seemingly was going to be brewing as a pot of creamer. And I have no idea why I did that. But many of us can relate to the fact that stress is showing up in a variety of ways. The key here is to make sure that we don't let it become chronic and we learn how to catch it. And that gets us to a point of skill building. So if you look at the model, the EQI 2.0 has this whole composite called stress management. Specifically today, we would like to hone in on the scale of stress tolerance. And if you define stress tolerance, it's just your capability of being able to withstand adverse events in difficult times, specifically though, by actively and positively coping. So our goal is, Denny, to push them a little bit and stretch them in their coping strategies.
Yeah, because this is all about the choices that we make. And one of the things I see that happen is when stress is so high and the emotions are coming in from everywhere, is it's almost like a lightning hitting for most of us. And what happens is if we don't have any type of what we'll call a surge protector, we become fried. And so what we need to have to slow things down a bit and allow us to make better decisions and deal with stress is our own surge protector. And so what is that for us? And that's what we're going to talk about, because that's how we start to build stress tolerance, is to be able to slow things down and make better choices. So the areas we will look at, one is the physical side. And for me, get up and moving means I like to go out for a run. I like to exercise. So I make sure I make that part of my week. So I try to stick to a routine on that, because for me, that's the key.
You know, Denny, on that note, you don't even have to get up and go to the gym, which right now we can't anyway. I sometimes don't like telling people this, but I run while I brush my teeth, right? You could just get 2 minutes of exercise here and there. It can definitely work. It can definitely work. And to go into the next dimension, this mental space, we are really keen on making sure people up their game and focus and being present. And so right now we're hearing a ton of challenges around how to prioritize, lots of competing priorities. And we're a huge fan of Brian Tracy's theme, Eat That Frog. So Eat That Frog is essentially just picking your biggest, toughest thing and doing it first, because the rest of the day will seem so much easier and it lightens the stressful load. It's true, it works.
I'm certain all of you are concerned with Sarah because she's talking about eating frogs, brushing her teeth while she's running, creamer in the coffee. I'll get her some help as well. But one of the other things on the being present moment to moment is no cell phone zones. And I've talked to a lot of people that have done that at home. They've also done it when they're talking to friends, etc. So that's something to think about. The emotional side, you know, I put in here, crank up the music. And for me, when I need to decompress a bit, it is to put on some type of relaxing music. Or if I need to blow off some steam, I'll put on some AC/DC and let it go, Sarah.
My little drummer at home would move in with you if you push the AC/DC. But on the emotional side, I always like to tell people, when we have a lot of push on our right side of our brain where we've got stress going on, why not engage the left side of your brain? We call that being whole brain. That can be as simple as being analytical or being highly structured, AKA organize your desk for a few minutes, or even cleaning, Denny, which is one of those things people are doing a lot of, lots of spring cleaning going on, right?
Still doesn't sound fun to me, Sarah.
It works. And this concept of socialization is a really big part too. We don't want people to forget that you can use socialization to reduce stress. Now more than ever during this isolation period, you want to make sure that you prioritize connecting. We've even given the example of why not set up an agenda when you're talking to coworkers where the first few minutes is just connecting before you dive into the content of the agenda. That can be a great idea to maintain stress in this dimension.
That's great because that also helps us with the empathy side. But, one of the things I found is we do Zoom meetings with our families, both my wife's side and my side, and they are very good, and they get a little bit raucous at times, but it feels like you're there to some extent. And then the last one here is to be grateful on the spiritual side. And I would challenge all of you to put a journal next to your bed, a piece of paper, and before your feet hit the floor every morning, jot down 5 things you're thankful for. And I can guarantee you can come up with those. If you're struggling, the fact that you were able to sit up in bed is one in itself. These are all very simple, but they can work. And so our challenge to you as we move forward, just in 2 areas. Sarah, what do you think?
The first one is going to start with you. We're going to challenge you first. So growth as an individual, we actually have some additional resources attached to this link. It's going to give you a chance to look at where am I at now, both with my current trends of stress, but also where my coping strategies lie. We want you to find a new one. Give it a try over the next couple of weeks. That's step 1.
Yeah, and then the second step is with your team. One of the things as we started all this, it's not just helping ourselves, but help others do the same. It's about bringing your best self to every situation. So you'll see in the handout, there's information there as well. This is one of the quickest 6 minutes I've ever had. And so the Core 20 Challenge is on. So it is go time. And the real question is, are you ready?
Good luck.